guys, so today I'm going to show you how to create reoccurring invoices for vendors. So this is very important because accounts payable has reoccurring invoices. If you go down here, reoccurring invoices, this is where this lives. But if you're trying to create a reoccurring invoice for customers, that's going to live on the accounts receivable, also in the same spot. But make sure you know the difference. So the first thing that you want to do is actually create a vendor invoice template. So we're going to go here, create vendor invoice template, and we're going to click new. We're going to name it, let's say daily reoccurrence. Daily. Alrighty, posting profile, we're going to leave it as default posting profile. And then if we were to expand, you can also add terms of payment here. You can either add it here, or it can also pull from whatever vendor it's pulling from. So you can set that up. And then this is where the invoice lines happen. This is what is going to reoccur. So this is what you want to do. You either can add service item or a service, and then you put in a quantity and then have the unit price to be like, let's say 25. Something to note is that if you were to put description here, it's not going to show up in the line details later. That's just something to be noted. But if you were to click add and add an item number, for example, let's say this one, it will show up in the lines item, and I can show you that later. But let me remove and then I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to have the unit price as 25. Make sure to add a unit price here, not in the amount. The amount will auto-populate. If you forget to add a unit price later on, it's going to say 0. So let's just say it's going to be a service, quantity 1, unit price is 25, and then we're going to click save. Once we hit save, we're going to go back into reoccurring invoice. Let me just collapse this so it's a little cleaner. We're going to go to invoice, reoccurring invoice, and we're actually going to attach this reoccurring to a vendor. So we actually need to go into vendors, all vendors, and find the vendor that we want to create this reoccurring thing for. So I'm going to use Cali Cow Farms. So have that selected, and at the top, add invoice, you want to say set up reoccurring invoice. And then we're going to click new. And this is where we're going to add that template that we just created. And then you can start the billing date from whatever you want. Since it's going to be a daily reoccurrence, I want it to be daily and once per day. You can have 5 times per day, whatever you want. There's also monthly, yearly, weekly, and daily. So if you want something to happen at a different interval, you can do that. But for the example, we're going to have daily. So reoccurrent currency, we're going to have USD, and then we're going to click save. Now that we have already tied the template to the vendor, so we know which vendor it's going to use this reoccurrence, we're actually going to go into generate reoccurring invoice. So in this generate invoice, we're going to grab the invoice date today, and let's say when do we want it to stop. So let's say, so for what I'm doing, we want to create a reoccurrence invoice for only this week. So I'm going to do 6, 7, and 8. But let's say you do monthly. So if you do monthly, you want to change the month date to be like 3 months ahead, etc. So for the example, it's only going to be 3 days because I don't want it to populate too much. The template is going to be that daily reoccurrence that we just created. And then records to include, you want to add that vendor that you wanted to apply for. So I believe it was Cali Cow, so I need to search for that. Cali Cow Farms. You just copy that and click OK. And click OK. And a number sequence has not been set up. So you need to make sure a number sequence has been set up for this customer. So let's do that real quick. All right, we're going to go to accounts payable setup, accounts payable parameters, and select on number sequence. If we scroll all the way down the recurrence ID, we need to have something as the number sequence code. For this example, I'm just going to click one that's already here and click save. Alrighty, now we're going to navigate back and to try to create. So we already attached the template. Now we want to generate vendor reoccurrence. We're going to resume and go back into at 3 days, create that template to be daily reoccurrence. And then for records to include, we're going to include that Cali cow or whatever you're using. Click OK. Once you click OK, it will be generating those I believe those three invoices. As you can see, it's been created, and now let's go check on them. So what we want to do is actually go to recurring invoice. We already created the reoccurring, so now we're going to view them as posting, trying to post them as well. So as you can see here, they have been generated, and now we can actually Alrighty, so pretty much I had to create a new template in order for that reference ID to populate since I just went back in to edit it. So make sure you have that reoccurrence ID set up. And as you can see, this link should be now clickable. And as you can see, we can see the invoice amount that has been created 3 times. And if we were to click post and transfer, it would pretty much post all these invoices all at the same time, but I want to show you the transactions so we can see it actually get reflected. So you can either post them all at once, or you can go and view them one at a time. So what you can do is navigate to accounts payable, invoices, pending vendor invoices. And let's find that Cali cow. All right, so Cali Cow Farm, as you can see, we created them all today. You can also pull up insert column, period, date, and I find that kind of informational. So you can add a column called period and date, update. This will pretty much tell you the information on what the days were, the generation dates. So we created once per day from 11-6 to 11-8. So as you can see, they're all posted once a day. The invoice date was actually all today since we all generated them. If you were to click into the invoice, if you were to click into the invoice, into the line details, since we didn't reference a specific item that's already in the system, there's nothing that's going to be shown here. Like I said in the beginning, if you were to create an item and select it there and add a amount, this line should pop up. But since we just manually added a description, it will not show up here. So you can post from here individually, and then it will then be reflected in vendor transactions. So let's let this post, and then let me show you how it gets reflected. So let me go to that vendor, all vendors. We're going to find that Cali Cow Farm and then go to vendor and transactions. Alrighty, I believe it should have posted now. So as you can see here, it created, you can see that transaction come through. And if we were to go back into our, if we were to go back to our accounts payable, post vendor reoccurring invoices, and select this one that we were just working on, it shows that it's been posted. If we were to click post and transfer here, let that load, and it'll pretty much post all 2 that's left. But if you clicked it, click post and transfer without posting this one individually, it'll post all 3. So as you can see here, all these check marks are posted, and if we're to go to vendor transactions, refresh, it'll show that they all got posted. So I hope this was helpful in explaining how you can create reoccurring invoices for vendors, and that's about it.